Hey everyone, I want to share today's daily drop. It's verses that are pretty popular in the Bible. Maybe you've heard them before, maybe you haven't. But they are Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. I'm going to read from the NIRV version where it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. In all your ways obey him, then he will make your paths smooth and straight." I think all of us would say we really want our paths or our life to be pretty smooth and straight, which means we kind of want no issues. We want things to go pretty well for us. And during all of this, especially, that's not always the case, is it? And so when it says to trust in the Lord and obey him, and he will make things smooth and straight for you, that doesn't mean all the problems just go away. It means that he's the one in control over everything, even though it doesn't feel like things are going our way. And when we really lean on him and we depend on him, we can then allow him to control the things that he's supposed to control, and then we can choose to control the things that we can control. And then we kind of have a little bit more of a smooth path instead of trying to make our own way all the time, because then it gets pretty bumpy when we try to do things our own way all the time. I know playing a game with my son, he did not want any help whatsoever. So he was trying to do a bunch of stuff and he thought he could figure it out, and he kept saying he didn't want any help, even though I was trying to help him. And he was getting very frustrated, very angry while we were playing. And finally he asked for help, and I just moved one little thing and everything was okay. And sometimes we're like that with God, where we want to try to figure it all out on our own instead of just depending on him and asking him for help. And so one of the ways that we can learn more about how to obey him is probably the very best way, is to read more of what God has to say in his word. So I'm sharing these couple of verses from Proverbs chapter 3, but it would be really great if you maybe read more of that chapter, or maybe you asked your parents or asked someone in your family to help you read a little bit more in the Bible. Because for me, a lot of times the way I learn to listen to God and I learn to hear from God is just by reading the Bible a little bit more. Just recently, I was reading about Paul, who wrote a lot of the New Testament, and he was writing in 2 Corinthians, which is one of the chapters that he wrote in, one of the books he wrote in the New Testament. He was talking about how he had conflict all around, so things were kind of going crazy, and he had conflict within too, meaning, and then it goes on to say that he was slightly depressed, and he was having a hard time, and so things weren't going his way on the outside. And on the inside too, he was feeling kind of overwhelmed. And I was like, well, that's how a lot of people are feeling right now. And then it says, the God who brings comfort. So we know and we believe that God brings us comfort. But how did he bring comfort? He sent someone named Titus. So he got to talk to someone else. And that's how God brought comfort to him. And then it says he was even more filled with joy when Titus told him about all the things that other people had said to encourage him. And so I was just thinking about, wow, that is so cool to see how God brought comfort to him. And that's so cool to see how I can maybe comfort other people. And I learned all of that, and I felt comforted by it by reading the Bible, by reading more of that. And had I not read that, I may not have been as comforted by God in that moment, and my day may have not gone as well as it did because of that. And so God doesn't necessarily change all of our situation, but he can change how we feel about situations when we choose to trust and depend on him and lean on his ways and not our own. And so I want you to think about that. I want you to maybe spend some more time reading your Bible, learning more about what God has to say, because I think it's very beneficial to you. I think it'll help you too. And so we love you. We hope you're doing very well, and we'll see you again on here soon.